Hi.
Hi, happy Pride Month. I'm
Yes.
Allison I'm Allison Wyckoff, and I work in the education department of the Asian Art Museum. I'd like to welcome you and give thank you for your support of tonight's program. I've given these remarks a lot of thought and keep coming back to the anger, distress, frustration, and grief I and so many others feel due to the recent acts of violence against the transgender community. Every day, there's news of another heinous crime committed against someone because of their perceived difference. Raya Milton, Dominique Fells, Selena Reyes Hernandez, Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, Robert Fuller, Malcolm Hirsch, and the list goes on. I heard Terry Freeman, the executive director of the National Civil Rights Museum, say rather simply, if we can just see everyone as human beings, we would be able to treat people better. What do we have as our root? Our humanness. The arts are a tool for expressing our shared humanity, but institutions that present artworks like museums are often sites that perpetuate hurtful tropes that other people and strip them of their humanness. It takes listening, learning, and unlearning to make meaningful changes in our institutions and more broadly as a society. Programs such as this are a step in the right direction, but they are not enough. We need to do deep introspective work internally too. I, as a white cis woman working in a culturally specific museum, am committed to this ongoing process and to holding myself and others accountable for their harmful beliefs and actions. So thanks for joining us tonight for tonight's reading of the play, The Compton's Cafeteria Riot, which dramatizes the events leading up to an important and often overlooked moment in the history of the LGBTQ movement. It's an incredible honor to be in partnership with the Tenderloin Museum, the foremost resource for sharing the rich history of one of San Francisco's most vibrant and dynamic neighborhoods, and welcome the play's cast and creators. The reading will be followed by a discussion and Q&A, so please write your questions in the Q&A box found at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we'll read as many as we can at the end of the program. We welcome your feedback about this program and suggestions for future ones, and we'll be following up with an email survey after the program. We hope you'll take a few minutes to complete it. Please note that this is being recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel in a few days. Tonight, you can choose to view the program two different ways, either speaker view, which only highlights one person speaking, or gallery view, where you will see all the actors in small boxes. To choose, go to the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom screen where you may click on one of these two options. Without further introduction, I'm going to pass the mic to Katie Conry, Executive Director of the Tenderloin Museum.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks so much to everyone joining us this evening. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Tenderloin Museum opened in July of 2015 with the mission of uncovering the lost history of the neighborhood, as well as supporting the vibrant present-day community. And we've done a series of virtual events since shelter in place went into effect, and we are thrilled to be collaborating with the Asian Art Museum to bring you a reading of an excerpt of our play, The Compton's Cafeteria Riot. The Compton's Cafeteria is a landmark LGBTQ event that took place in the Tenderloin in 1966. It is one of the first known instances of militant resistance by the queer community to police brutality in US history. Especially relevant for Pride Month, this historical event, along with many other riots that took place in cities across the country, is what people are referring to when they say that the first gay pride was a riot. San Francisco Pride in 1972 was the first time San Francisco specifically linked a local queer celebration to the national commemoration of Stonewall. And the posters for 1972 Pride are filled with information about the Compton's Cafeteria Riot, because the organizers felt it was very important to call out this local history of gay pride in San Francisco that took place before Stonewall. Despite this early commemoration, the Compton's Cafeteria Riot was essentially lost to history until Susan Stryker rediscovered it at the GLBT Historical Society when she was the director there, looking through their archives. She went on to make the seminal documentary about the incident, Screaming Queens, in 2005. And it's this rich history, as well as the present day community, is why the world's first transgender cultural district is located in the Tenderloin neighborhood. Commemorating this historical event is so important. It gives San Francisco back its rightful place as the birthplace for the modern LGBTQ civil rights movement, and gives trans women, and particularly trans women of color, back their rightful place as pioneers of the movement. And there could be nothing more relevant today than commemorating a community's response to police brutality. The Tenderloin Museum produced an immersive play about the Compton's Cafeteria Riot in 2018 that sold out all 32 performances and was very well received. We plan to restage it this year for a 3-year production. And then the pandemic happened. So we actually plan to open this month. So the timing of this reading is certainly a little bittersweet for us, but what a great opportunity to get our incredible cast and writers back together to keep telling this important story. The Tenderloin Museum certainly remains committed to this project and vision, and we plan to restage the play as soon as it's safe to do so. You're about to watch a virtual excerpt of our play, The Compton's Cafeteria Riot, written by Collette LeGrande, Donna Persona, and Mark Nasser. And after the reading, you'll get to hear from the writers themselves, and you'll have a chance to ask questions to both the cast and the writers. So without further ado, take it away.
Let's introduce the cast before we start in order of appearance. Vicky is played by Kelly J. Kelly. Young Vicky is Kalalia Avery. Collette is Pleasure by Night. Rusty is Shane Zaldivar. Suki is Jalen Abergas. Sailor Frankie is Kyle Goldman. Nikki is Ms. Coco Butta. Gus is Stephen Monash. Shirley is Barbara Pond. Adrienne is Mandela Masani. Dixie is Maurice Andre. And Officer Johnson is Drew Olvey. And I will be your narrator this evening, and my name is Susie Jane Edwards. Jean Compton's Cafeteria on a hot summer night in 1966. It has classic diner decor with prices, product ads, i.e. Lucky Strike, Coca-Cola, tacked up all over the walls. A motley group of customers sip coffee with early morning breakfast and converse about the adventures of the night. Vicky Marlane steps into the spotlight in present time, recalling the memory of that historical night. The setting switches between the cafeteria and Vicky's narration. Don't Make Me Over is sung by the whole cast as they sway to the music. Song fades out.
That's the last song I sang before I went over to Jean Compton's Cafeteria the night of the riot. Just like all the queens usually did, you know, to shoot the shit, to catch up, to strut our stuff, to be ourselves for a few more hours. That night, it was different. It was hot. It was August. It was 1966. I was headed over there to raise holy fucking hell. There was a fire raging in me. I never sang that song ever the same again. I never sang any song ever the same again.
After the craziness the other night, shit, I almost just got shot in the face by this crazy chick. I just ran 4 blocks in heels after this Tilly was chasing me with his fucking club.
I'm not even supposed to be here. My parents would be out of their minds. My father is a preacher, for God's sake. I just had the most horrible situation with the police officer the other night, and this very scary man. If my father ever found out anything about it, he'd call an exorcist, and I wish I was kidding.
Oh my gosh, what a whirlwind day. We just met today. I was looking in my purse for a lighter, and this handsome guy, my knight in shining armor, appears out of nowhere and lights my cigarette, and we've been tourists all day.
The Fisherman's Wharf, Golden Gate Park. I took her for dinner at John's Grill and had a couple of steaks. Oh boy, she can eat. But man, oh man, have we had fun. You pal around with a gorgeous girl like this, you consider yourself the luckiest guy. Well, not that kind of lucky.
Oh, Frankie, you've been a perfect gentleman all day and night.
Jesus, Collette, are you fucking kidding me, girl? I thought that pimp trick was gonna shoot you in the head. What happened?
I thought he was gonna shoot your ass. That gun came out, then you jumped out the car and he just took off. It happened so fast. I'm in the back seat like, what the fuck is going on? He goes around the block threatening my ass, and then I jumped out at Turk. What the fuck?
Girl, he just went crazy out of nowhere.
Why? Why? He didn't want to pay, or did he find out that you weren't real?
Oh, he knew we weren't fish.
He knew where he was. He just went crazy.
Oh, no, bitch. He told me you clipped his ass the last time you was with him. He recognized you. You probably still have his fucking wallet.
Not that old thing, but I got the new one. Breakfast on me.
Oh, you crazy bitch, almost getting me killed for fucking breakfast.
All right, calm down. It's good to see you, but ladies, I can't have you sitting here and drinking for 2 hours. Come on, this is a business. And what went on the other night, that was crazy. Listen, I'll tell you what. No good deed goes unpunished. I don't have to let you in by law. I don't have to, but I do. It's not just out of the kindness of my heart. That's my business at night, I know. But I give you a place to go, don't I, huh?
The old man is on a rampage after what happened last night. And those Vanguard kids are just stirring everything up with pickets, with protest people. I mean, they are stubborn and immovable. Anyway, everybody's nuts. The guy's nuts. Grab him. Here's your menu. I'll be right back.
Fuck no. They throw you in the Queen's tank. You go in front of a judge in the morning. But even if they let you out the next day, one night in the tank will straighten you right out. They lock you up and don't look back. You're on your own unless you've got a friend in there. I know you're having fun, but I suggest you run back to your mom in San Jose until the 1st of the month.
And my poor mother, she kind of suspects something. My mother, she is my best friend. She's always so happy to see me. Everything I do is just the most fabulous thing. She wants to hear every detail about everything. The last thing I'd want to do is bring her any shame. And I'm dealing with something I need to tell her, but I'm afraid to hurt her, and it's just an awful thing. What about your mother?
Hey, listen. Listen, man. We just had 17 cops that were ready to arrest us walk away. They just walked away.
They didn't want to serve us because of my long hair and some makeup. They wouldn't serve us because they were breaking the law. So I broke a sugar bowl. They sent 17 cops for a sugar bowl and female impersonation. 17 fucking cops.
Hey, watch it now, would you? Would you calm down, please?
But guess what happened? Listen to this. They got called off by Sergeant Blackstone, the liaison to the community, our community, the gay youth community, including the hair fairies and hustlers who couldn't find work. We weren't allowed to work.
We are the vanguard, and we are going to stand our ground. We are going to walk down the street with our head held high, with dignity. Dignity. We can change things.
We and only we can be the cause of our own liberation. We need to demand. We need to march peacefully, yes, but with force and with numbers. Who's in?
Guys, please, I'm asking you to please keep it down. Look, if you want to talk to people nice, okay, look, I get democracy. I'm Greek. We invented it. But please, respect me and don't create a scene.
So you don't mind us talking to people?
No, I don't mind you talking to people, and maybe order a fucking sandwich, God forbid.
You know, my brother once walked through the living room in my mother's heels. trying to get a laugh. He was probably 10. My father got up and beat him black and blue. He's a Marine. 5 kids, beautiful wife. Sometimes that's how it works. Beat him black and blue. That's a pretty dress you got on there. You dig it out of your father's closet? I bet he dresses like a girl, too. You know, impersonating a female is against the law.
You think I'm crazy. You think I'm being mean. No, hun. You don't know what I lost. I was running everything. I was sitting with the other girls, waiting to go in, and looked around the room and knew I had it. None of them were as sharp as me. And sure enough, I got it. My boss and I hit it off. I whipped that office into shape in no time and got the job done and had no excuses. He loved it. He even started hitting on me perfectly, which I flirted around just right. Then out of nowhere, I got yanked out into the bathroom, the men's room, and they pulled up my dress. Then they physically escorted me from the premise, and I think I know the bitch who did it.
The angriest person in the room is always the saddest. I had a raging sadness in me, and my anger was a firewall against the deepest, most hurtful realization that I couldn't be who I actually was, that I couldn't have a life I wanted. I wasn't allowed. As much as I wanted to see myself as normal, I was not. I never would be. I was so young and so beautiful. And in that moment, so fucking lonely. But still, I couldn't let it go. And as always, the night went on.
Come on now. Have a real job? Get a normal job? What's that? I wouldn't even begin to waste my time. She must be dropping something other than her damn skirt. Now, I ain't got a whole lot, but I ain't got nobody running my ship but me. And then you got the Vanguard, and they're just throwing a spotlight on it all. Watch the roaches fly. And they want me to protest? Protest? I protest every day. Every day I put my sorry black ass out on that street, and I say, fuck you. I live by my own rules because yours ain't working for me, bitch.
I didn't rat you out. I didn't on purpose. You were in the shop and that hippie clerk, she never said that you looked like a man. I lied. I was angry. I wanted to get to you. What the girl said was, what a beautiful woman you are. I was proud of you. It's what I want for myself. Then I got jealous and I told her that you weren't a woman. I didn't know you worked there. You're more woman than anyone I know.
Just stop with the tears. There's no crying in the Tenderloin. Stay mad, all right? It's all we got. Can we get some fucking coffee over here and some goddamn ice?
What kind of clown act is going on here now? Of course, you can't act like human beings because you're not. You're freaks. Oh, looks like someone caught a beating, huh? Wasn't me. What happened? You can sign all the petitions you want. You still ain't getting away with this shit over my dead body.
Why? Huh? Why? Why do you have to be like this? What did we do to you? Why do you have to be so hateful and nasty? Why? Somebody must have loved you at some point in your life.
You finished, little girl? You finished?
No, I'm not finished. Just answer the question, why? Why are you such a filthy pig?
Officer Johnson boils. He approaches Rusty menacingly and grabs her by the collar. Collette, Nikki, Suki, Adrian, and Dixie line up behind Rusty. Officer Johnson goes to cuff Rusty. Rusty pushes him and grabs a hot cup of coffee and throws it into Officer Johnson's face. Officer Johnson screams, holds his face for a moment, then grabs Rusty by the neck and chokes her. Nikki breaks Officer Johnson's grip as he retreats as Collette, Rusty, Nikki, Suki, Adrian, and Dixie push him back.
We won't take it. We won't take it. We won't take it.
When Johnson choked Rusty, finally my anger went to where it was meant to be. Don't fuck with our babies, ever. I didn't think I'd just clobbered him. And then in that crystal clear moment, that perfect moment when I felt that push at my back, Nikki, Collette, Suki, and the brave Rusty, when they jumped in ready to kick some copper's butt, it finally hit me. I don't have to do this alone. I'm not alone. Those bitches had my back, and other bitches will have their back, and their back, and their back, until we can be who we are, what God created. We'll see you at Compton.
The end. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. We're gonna hear from the writers of the play. Collette, did you want to start us off?
Okay. Thank you to everyone who's joining us tonight. This was a very interesting project that we started. I had the Donna persona and I have known one another for 25, 30 years. And we met Mark when he came to see us in a documentary that was done by our friend James called Beautiful by Night, which the Tenderloin Museum also had something to do with. And we tossed and turned and talked about Comptons, and we all came together and decided that we wanted to do something together. And it's really been a journey and a learning experience for me. And thanks to the Tenderloin Museum and everyone out there for participating and listening to this wonderful story, because it's very, very important to our movement. Donna?
Hello everyone.
Hi, Donna.
Hi. Okay, yes, I'm Donna Persona, and as Collette mentioned, Mark Nasser approached us both, and we decided to take this project on with him. And for about a year, we met once a week or so, and we worked on it each week for about 2 hours. And what Collette and I did was, see, I myself, when I was 17, 18, I would go to Compton's Cafeteria. I walked around. I was too young to go to nightclubs or bars, and I ran into that place. And actually, that was the place where maybe you all have this experience, where the first time that I saw beautiful women, and I later found out that they were born biological men. So, I went into the Compton's Cafeteria, and I got to know these women. And I found them to be wonderful people. I saw them as a family to each other. And I learned that that's what they had to do. Most of them were throwaways. They came from different parts of the country. They were rejected by their families. And, what they really wanted was just to live normal. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Ooh. I'm back. They wanted to live normal lives, have a husband in this case, and have a family, and have a job as a secretary or in retail, just to be normal. What they wanted was not outrageous, and it was unfortunate that they couldn't. So they spent their time there, and actually they they did what they could, what the society allowed them, or what they could do, and that was sex work. And anyway, I wasn't there the night of the riot. I say this, I wanted to have a life. I wanted to get an education and be able to work. And I learned from them that was impossible. To live an authentic life meant you couldn't be in the system. And so I left them. And but when we were doing this, I took stories, as did Collette, that really happened in my life and among the people that I knew. So I say that everything that's in our story is the truth. It's the truth. But it just didn't happen that night. And we chose characters that showed an array of the journey, the particular journeys that transgender people have, transgender women have. And so an audience gets to see, like the white girl that has more privilege, she's pretty, the black girl that has a different journey and actually tougher than the rest of them. And with different abilities and different backgrounds. And we thought that this would be a good way to show an audience. So the passion that I have in this is that I found out, I'm seeing that they were the beginning of gay liberation. And I've learned something. Social justice, liberation that's won is most profound when it's won by the constituency. So in this case, it was transgender women, gay hustlers, and hippies, I think, and they won. They were resisting the powers that be, and that's more meaningful, I think. And I'll reiterate what Katie said. The stories in our play are relatable to people, the audiences today, and they're relevant. And I'm going to say, now more than ever, when we sat down to write these stories, we didn't know that we were going to be in this moment in time when police brutality is such a big struggle and a big thing. And I'd like to remind you that the story took place 50 years ago, and not much has changed. So another thing I'd like to say is this time, the Pride this year the theme is generations of resilience and resistance. So, our story is of another generation. And I'd like to point out that Collette and I and others are from that generation. We are showing our resilience and we're still here. And actually we're thriving. So there is a life for transgender people and the gay community. And I think that's wonderful. And another thing I'd like to say is that with this viewing of this play, it's a platform. It's a platform for our activism. And we're going to gain more social justice, and we're going to win more hearts, I believe. And I'll end with this. When an audience sees our play, and because it's immersive, they can't escape the stories, and they become a part of the story, and they feel it. They feel it more, and I love that. When I would see the performances, I could see them going through these changes, and I think that's a better way to win them over, if I can say that. So I'm really happy about that, and the Black characters in our play will speak to the fact that Black lives matter. So it's just a wonderful vehicle I'm just in love with the story, and I hope everyone gets to see it. And it's another thing, I say it's relevant, but it's also, it's not dated. This story will never run out of its time. It can be told forever. And actually, I'm going to make it my objective, and I want to manifest that the story never stops getting told. And actually, I like to see it told in high schools and colleges. So I'm really pleased, and I'll end by this. Collette, Mark, Katie, and I, we didn't know that the cast that we would have, as it turns out, in their real life, their other real life, they are activists. So I think that's beautiful. I think everyone in the world should be an activist. So anyway, I'll end with that.
So, I'll just say that, walking into the Tenderloin Museum and being unaware of the historical event of Compton's Cafeteria Riot, I was astounded to see that and that I didn't know about it. And the journey for me, after meeting Katie, then meeting Collette and Donna, it was such an eye-opening experience, because I don't want to feel like, oh, I'm a do-gooder, I want to do something. No, this play found me, and I was able to put what I know about immersive theater, which I think is very, very exciting. But the friendships I have with Donna and Collette, and the commitment, I've never met actors, probably because of the material and how much it means to those folks. It's amazing. And we're still here doing it again. So please go to Tenderloin Museum and get on the list. Go to our Compton's Cafeteria Riot, the play, and join up, because we're going to have an incredible production. You will go to a diner, you'll feel like you're there, and it's a spectacular experience that I am completely the person who was educated and grateful, and I think you will be too if you see the whole production. So again, thank you to everybody. It's amazing. And I would just like to turn this over to Jaylyn. You must have something to say yourself.
Thank you so much, Mark, and everyone in Asian Art Museum and Tenderloin Museum for having me and giving me a chance to speak. I just want to say that it's been a great pleasure to be part of this cast. And when I first got cast as Suki, I was questioning like, oh, okay, she's Asian. What kind of Asian is she? And we were able to dive into the character. And I wanted to bring out my own Filipino American culture, because there's so much Filipinos living in San Francisco that I wanted to represent that. So I wanted to say thank you to you guys for giving me the opportunity. And please come see us at the Compton's Cafeteria Riot, the play. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got one question that I'll pose to the group, and that is, what do you see as the biggest change now versus 1966? I don't know, Donna, if you want to take that.
Okay, well, I'll take that one. Well, back then in 1966, so much that was perpetrated by the police, no one ever heard about. It was easier to terrorize these people and get away with things so much. I think that's a difference there. Another difference is most of society was on the side of those are evil people. There's nothing normal about them. They're rebellious. They could don a suit and be an insurance man, but they want to be outrageous. 50 years later, I think things are documented more than ever, and that's a good thing. More people are seeing what they go through, and that helps. And also more society has feel better about it. They're more accepting. I hate that word accepting, but they understand more. So those are some of the differences from back then and now. And so transgender people and gay people have more allies and more people to connect with. That's another thing. Back then, it was a secret society, and the trans didn't even mix with the gays too much. So there's more community today and more allies.
Yeah, that's great to hear. To hear you speak, Donna. I mean, someone in the chat earlier said we need more LGBTQ curriculum in schools. So, that's speaks to what you were saying, and allyship. It's so important to these movements and to advancing movements for justice and equality. So someone else wrote in the chat that they'd love to hear from the cast members about the activism they're engaged in now. I don't know who wants to take that, or if several of you do. If you could tell us about the activism that you guys are engaged in now.
I'll start it. Susie Jane, that's me. Right now, I am a student at Mills College, which has just let trans women in since 2014, I believe. And that is such an incredible thing for me, because when I graduated high school, 4 years that I'm gonna admit here, all of the girls that I was in theater with would talk about going to Mills, and I was so jealous and like, oh, if only. And lo and behold, here I am now. And some of the things I love to do is I like to go to colleges and talk about my experiences. And I work at Hamburger Mary's as a hostess and sometimes performer. And so I get to do a lot of education there when people assume I'm a drag queen. Oh, darling, let me tell you the difference and blah, blah, blah. So, and I don't mind doing Trans 101 as often as I need to, because I feel like it's always an opportunity to share with people and for them to understand. And I'm an Air Force vet. And so when I was overshare, and I'll be quick. So I've always only ever dated women, always been a lesbian. And so I was very confused thinking, oh, I feel like I am trans, but I like women, so I must not be. It wasn't like now, this was even before AOL. So I have a son and raised him by myself. And then by the time he got into high school, I was like, okay, I get it now. I can totally do this, but I'll just wait a little bit. No need, I waited this long, no need to throw that on him while he's in high school. That's hard enough. So here I am. And I think that sharing our stories and sharing our history, like this very important play, and honoring the people who came before us and the sacrifices that they made, really gives resonance to our existence now.
That's great. Thank you, Susie Jane. Does anyone else want to answer that question? What kind of activism you're engaged in right now?
Hi. So my name's Andre. So part of my activism is I've become a school teacher. I've been a public school teacher in Oakland for the past 3 years, teaching choir and dance to primarily Black and Brown youth. And action-wise, I'm currently in the process of trying to organize a caravan to Washington, D.C. From all over the country on August 28th. So be on the lookout for that. I should have some more details and materials coming out soon. And also, we just organized a rally, me and a few friends, at the beginning of this month for, Pride, because Black trans lives matter, And we started at City Hall and marched down Market with a police escort, which I wasn't too happy about, but that's a story for another day. And we ended up in the Castro and we celebrated, we had more speakers and we had speakers and performance. So it wasn't only acknowledging the Black trauma and the Black sorrow that was, that's been out in the world. And that has, like Donna said, been brought to light because people are documenting things more, but also celebrating Black joy, because it's super important that we also celebrate the joyfulness and we see the joy in the Black experience. But it is also important to recognize that we came from slavery, police brutality, and that it disproportionately affects the trans community. And so, and it being Pride Month, in the history books, like Pride has gone down as a riot, but what it actually is an uprising. So that's it for me. And then acting in political, historical things like this.
Great, thank you, Andre. Anyone else? Okay, I have another question. What are your thoughts on trans identity becoming a pan-national identity, especially with trans individuals in the global South?
I'll answer that. This is Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Playing Vicki Marlene. Thank you for that question. It's interesting, the nomenclature that is used, a pan-national identity, and I'm not so sure that it is, because the word transgender is actually a Western concept. And I did take a class, and it's available at City College when they're actually having, I don't know if it still is via Zoom and what's going on with education, but they offer a class called Gender Identity and Culture, a Global Survey. And one of the things that we learned is that gender variance has existed forever, since the beginning of time, and in all different cultures, and it's not necessarily referred to as transgender. So gender variance has always existed, but I don't know if I would personally say that transgender is a pan-national ID identification, because in India, there's the Hydras, in South Pacific, there's the Fa'afafine. In Hawaii, there's the Mahu. In Mexico, there's the Muchas, and all kinds of indigenous, First Nation, and Two-Spirit identifications. So, but I think that's a really important question. And we've always been here, we always will be. And I don't think I don't think that we can impose Western concepts and identities to everybody globally.
Does anyone else want to add to that?
Oh, I would like to add just one thing. I look forward to a time when transgenders don't have to identify. You know, I feel that I'm a woman, and I look forward to a time when it's not a thing to be transgender, where we just assimilate into society and we're valid, and just through our visibility, we are who we are. And I think that would be a good day. Mm-hmm.
Thank you both. Okay, so what was the casting process like to ensure the cast was representative of the characters being portrayed? So,
I could
Mark?
shed some light on that. For me, you know, I like authenticity, and I think, you know, my co-writers, we were all about that. But I'll speak for myself and say I would need to be a little educated. You know, I would have been a little looser with the casting, but we did have readings to the public, and I was very, you confronted with the need to really cast, to character, and, when we started doing it, I felt like that was the move that brought the play to a whole other level. Because people walked in there and went, this is real. These people feel this. It was, when I tell you a moving experience, and I keep saying this, an educational one for me, and I've always been open-minded. It's not about that. It's about really seeing the experience, the feelings, working with my two co-writers once a week, feeling, to get to know them, to get to know all of our common humanity, and we were really focused on that. So the casting thing, it was difficult. One of the, we cast Vicky, and it was Claire Farley, who was like a liaison to the mayor. I mean, people were committed to this. And everybody I met was just so committed, I can't explain it. So yes, next, I'm sorry.
Okay, so did the Tales of the City new episodes on Netflix show that Mrs. Madrigal was at Compton's? Anyone watched that?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Katie, is Katie still on?
I was actually an extra in that episode, and
Yeah.
I was one of the trans girls in the background, and it was just a really fun experience how they kind of put it together, because they shot scenes here in San Francisco, but the actual riot they shot in Canada or upstate New York, I'm not really sure. So it was really fun to be part of that Tales of the City episode.
Yeah, they rented the museum as like a green room, and Susan Stryker was like creatively involved as an advisor on the Netflix series. And two of our cast members were extras.
That's great. Okay, so there's one final question as a follow-up to the transnational identity question. Are there meaningful models for solidarity between Western and Southern gender variant individuals? I don't know if someone who hasn't answered a question wants to take that one on.
Or also, Kelly, maybe did you have
Hey,
any
Kelly.
thoughts on that, since you're so educated on that subject?
Kelly, yes, I see your hand.
Oh, she's,
Um,
there we go.
no, I actually can't speak if the question is pertaining to models of gender variant communities in the global South specifically. However, I do know that there is a lot of activism on all levels that is very cohesive nationally, but I can't really speak for international, and specifically if it's about the global South. I don't know if those models exist. It's a good question. It's a good thing to research for me personally. But I do know as far as activism and organizing, the trans community is very cohesive, especially trans communities of color in the United States. It's the our trans brothers, sisters, GNC, gender non-binary, and gender non-conforming people, counterparts. They're very, very cohesive. And I work for a legal advocacy organization that deals with, that is a advocacy and socioeconomic organization for trans people coming out of the prison industrial complex. So we have support services both on the inside and the outside, and all of those networks are very strong nationally. But again, I can't really speak globally how cohesive that is.
So there are no more questions. Let me open up the Q&A. There are no more questions. Did anyone of the actors have anything else you wanted to say before we close out the program tonight?
I would just encourage everyone to look forward to our bringing it back, and please make a point of seeing the play and bringing people with you to see it. And as Mark said, it's going to be a wonderful experience. Yes, so please come and see it.
Yeah.
I'd like to invite everyone to a protest that's happening right now at the original site that Susan Springer is organizing. I'll put a link.
Yeah.
Thank you. Katie, how long will that be going on? I know the gathering was at 7, I think. We started at 7.
Yeah, it says on the Facebook event until 8:30, but it could very well run longer. So
okay, great. Thank you all so much. This was an amazing program. I'm really excited to experience the play at Cova Hotel, and can't wait. We've had just amazing response in the chat, and really I'm humbled and honored to have presented this with you all today. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your support.
Before you leave, thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.